Hi, this is Colleen Pearl the Cool Crone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about the new moon in Aquarius taking place on February 1st. The new moon in Aquarius will take place on February 1st, 2022 in Aquarius at 12 degrees 19 minutes, about 45 minutes after midnight Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to Google for the exact time for your location. Aquarius is a male sign, it's fixed, it's air, and it's ruled by Uranus, but its traditional ruler is Saturn. The moon in Aquarius needs to be free. It also needs to be loved. Now, as long as they are with a group of people, they can understand their complicated heart and avoid feeling anger and jealousy. But what are you afraid of? That is something to figure out during this new moon. At the time of the new moon, our emotions and feelings of the moon are in harmony with our ego, identity, and individuality of the sun. We can express our feelings and get what we need, but we need to be careful not to become self-centered and narrow-minded. Aquarius is a fixed air sign, so we can talk ourselves into nearly anything right now, making it even more important to be aware of those around us. Yes, we need to practice self-care, but we can't do so at the expense of others. The new moon is time for a fresh start, exploring potential, new beginnings, claiming important dreams, noticing your emotional triggers, and tapping into emotional issues. The new moon is a time to go deep within your body. Meditate. Ask yourself, ask your body, how are you feeling? Where do you hurt? Where do you need healing? And ask yourself about emotional issues as well. This is a great reason to keep a moon journal and track how you feel emotionally at the new moon and the full moon for an entire year. You'll quickly begin to see patterns, and you'll also see where you feel that you can conquer your demons and where you feel like you're not quite up to the task. You'll see how you're setting goals and what goals you're achieving. It's a great way to really address shadow work because you can really plot your progress. When you go within, you're able to really understand in a safe way what is happening emotionally in your life. We all grow. We all change, and the moon helps us appreciate those changes. Now, what does the moon in Aquarius really mean? What is Aquarius moon really all about? Well, people who have their moon in Aquarius are very observant. They're disruptive, they're very independent, they're possessive, they're opinionated. They're drawn to the unusual. They're charismatic, and they can be shy. Now, the first two, being observant and being shy, sort of go together because the reason the moon in Aquarius person is so observant is because they very often feel like the odd man out. They walk into a room and they don't really see their brother. They see a whole bunch of people who are not like them. They feel different. They feel odd. And so they stay quiet and appear shy while they observe other people to see if there isn't something about other people that they can latch onto, something that they have in common. Moon in Aquarius is actually a very social sign, but part of their sociability is that they want to help humanity. Yes, they'll help a person out of a jam, especially a friend. They'll help the family who had a fire next door, help them, gather new clothes and get money for them. But what they really want to do is save the world. So Moon in Aquarius has very high ideals. And it's because of this characteristic that they often seem a little too arrogant for most people. Most people look at them and they think, who do they think they are that they can save the world? Well, they're Moon in Aquarius. They feel like there's no mountain too big to move. Who has Moon in Aquarius? Well, one of my favorite people on the planet, Britney Spears. And when I went to look at who had their moon in Aquarius, I have to say, for famous people, there was a lot of people with moon in Aquarius. Usually for these videos, I Google, who's a celebrity with the moon in this sign. And sometimes I really have to dig to find somebody who has their moon in Aquarius or moon in Capricorn or moon in Cancer or whatever. But this time I got a whole long list. And since Brittany was on that list, I used her as my example. Now she has a lot of unique qualities, but you may not know that she is sort of shy. She's also drawn to the unusual. She's a little possessive, but she's very independent. Now couple that with her Sagittarius sun, and you have one very independent person. So moon in Aquarius fits Brittany very, very well. Some other people who have moon in Aquarius are Jennifer Jason Leigh, Ashley Judd, Jane Mansfield, Marilyn Monroe, Joan Crawford, Carrie Underwood, Kim Cattrall, Helena Rubinstein, Sandra Bullock, Uma Thurman, Vivian Leigh, Victoria Beckham, Ursula Andress, Annie Leibovitz, Diana, Princess of Wales, Amanda Bynes, Jessica Alba, and Sophia Loren. And there were even more. I just took out the lesser known names. So during the time of moon in Aquarius, you may experience some of these characteristics as well. Now let's talk about retrograde planets that are happening at the time of the new moon. That's it. Mercury. Mercury went retrograde on January 14th. Mercury will station direct shortly after the new moon. And if you'd like to know more about the Mercury retrograde and its effect on us this time around, please see my video about the astrology from February 1st to the 15th. Now let's look at the other planetary placements that are in force during this new moon. So first of all, we have the new moon conjunct Saturn. That puts a big restriction or inhibition on this new moon. So you may feel like you want to just be alone during this new moon because of that Saturn influence, but we'll talk about it in more detail in a moment. The Sun will square Uranus. Mercury will sextile Neptune. Mercury will conjunct Pluto. Venus will conjunct Mars. Venus will sextile Jupiter. Venus will trine Uranus. Mars will sextile Jupiter. Mars will trine Uranus. Jupiter will sextile Uranus, and Saturn will square Uranus. So we have a big configuration of planets in place for the new moon. And here's the chart of the new moon. It doesn't look like much, but realize that all the planets are in this Eastern Hemisphere. All right, let's take these aspects one by one. The Sun and the Moon are conjunct at the time of the new moon. They are also conjunct Saturn. This brings a lot of self-discipline, and people don't want to change. People are kind of stuck in what they want to do on that day. So you may experience problems and difficulties, but you will have determination and a lot of energy to overcome these issues. This will bring about stability and honesty in most people. You will not trust your feelings, however. Saturn very often will put a damper on confidence, but you will be emotional, and you'll have to deal with others who are emotional, especially older people with Saturn's influence. We have Sun squaring Uranus. This brings about eccentricity and selfishness, and individualism may appear from groups of people who feel they are being ignored. Now, because Mars is high on this chart, even though it's pretty much conjunct Venus, I do feel like it's sparking off potential violence at this time. So we may see some things of a violent or military nature happening around February 1st. Could it be the time of the Russian invasion of the Ukraine? Possibly. Or it could be a time of our show of military strength to stop the invasion of the Ukraine. When the Sun square Uranus is known for its eccentricity and selfishness and individualism, which may appear from groups that feel like they're being ignored. Also, a lot of people may just feel mental exhaustion, just too much going on. Now, some people or some groups may feel that they need to be different and really strive to show the world their differences and uniqueness. They want to be examples for others, even if what they're showing is not very flattering or not very nice. They're willing to go to extremes. They have trouble accepting authority, and they may use rebellion in order to attract attention. We also have Mercury sextiling Neptune. Now, Neptune has been the cause of all this delusion and confusion that we have experienced in our society for the last 14 years. But anyway, right now, Mercury is sextiling Neptune. And this is great if you're in an artistic field. So it will be very inspirational for you if you create, for instance, fantasy art, or if you're an interior designer of some kind and you need to pick out beautiful things, or if you're just redecorating your house. This is a great aspect for you. It enhances your sense of detail. But in the real world, it may make it hard for you to accept what's going on. So most people will gravitate towards Neptunian things on this day. Photography, esotericism, fashion, and also they may be too trusting. We all will be too trusting and will pay a price for it. Inspiration and intuition abounds, and thinking, speaking, and communication are quite easy for most people at this time. But remember that we have the Sun square Uranus going on, so we could have some real political extremists doing a lot of talking on the new moon on February 1st and convincing people of their uniqueness and perhaps their correctness or rightness or righteousness about their particular viewpoint. And they may be influencing people quite easily because of the Mercury sextile Neptune aspect. And this next aspect makes it even worse because we have Neptune conjunct Pluto. So thinking is chaotic, and people are very strong in their charisma and their ability to sort of hypnotize other people. So this is really dangerous with all the Neptune stuff going on. Now, Neptune and Pluto are quite close to a sextile at this point. So I think Mercury is conjuncting Pluto and it's sextile Neptune. So this is where you get cult leaders and deranged leaders like talking and giving speeches, giving rousing speeches that really get people involved in their nefarious schemes. The combination of people being very, very trusting at this time, and certain of these leaders and groups and there may be more than one, there may be lots of groups, who have charismatic speakers could be really dangerous at this time. Now, another sidebar of this whole aspect is that Mercury is involved. This gives you tremendous analytical power. So if you can practice discernment and look at these speakers and discern who's telling the truth and who's not, and maybe none of them are telling the truth, maybe they're all a little crazy, or maybe there's one or two who are very reasonable, then you can figure out who is somebody that you would want to follow. Or maybe you just don't need to follow any of them. Maybe you just need to take a step back and see what happens, because February 1st could be a really yowza of a moment. Now, we also have Venus and Mars up here that are conjunct, and they're going to be close to each other and traveling with each other for up until March, I believe. 2 months or so, quite a while. And Mars and Venus together is great for sex. It's great for sexual attraction. It's great for potential romantic partners getting together. It's great for sparking the attraction in your relationship, but it makes you super, super sensitive. And so everybody actually is going to be very, very sensitive at this time, to the point that it's almost impossible not to offend them, especially if they have planets at the sensitive degrees that are shown in the chart here. So that would be about 6 degrees of Capricorn, 11 degrees of Capricorn. So anywhere from 1 degree to 15 degrees of any of the cardinal signs, you're going to be super, super sensitive. And if you're one of the earth signs, you're going to be sensitive, but it may be a little more positive for you. So everybody's flirting, everybody's trying to pair up, everybody's trying to get lucky. And when you do get together with a partner, one of the bad downsides of this aspect is that you're like teenage lovers. Nobody else in the world exists. So you find yourself just ignoring everyone else. Well, at the very, very beginning of the video, I was talking about Moon in Aquarius, where you cannot just ignore other people in order to have your way. And this aspect is going to make that very difficult to do, because if you're coupling up with, especially with a brand new lover, you know how it is. You kind of shut out the world. You guys feel like you're just the center of the universe. And so with that Moon in Aquarius also there, it's not a really great recipe for harmony in the world. So some people will be working off this sensitive energy in a traditional way, i.e. they're going to partner up with somebody, but some are not, and that energy has to go somewhere. So if you're not in a relationship where you can work this off with, sexual activity, then you just have to smile, flirt, be nice, but maybe wear a Kevlar vest and don't be upset if everybody you meet doesn't just want to fall in love with you. But just be careful, because that energy is going to go somewhere. That Mars in Capricorn energy is going to go somewhere. It's not so much violent as it is militaristic in Capricorn, but it's strong in Capricorn. And we have Venus sextile Jupiter, and this aspect just makes people really want to have new things. What's the bright, shiny thing? And this is another reason why relationships are going to spark right at this time. I know it's probably a bit trite right before Valentine's Day that everybody wants to partner up, but it's true. Venus and Mars are conjunct, and that sextile with Jupiter is going to make everybody be looking outside for a new partner and who loves me. And now the good thing about that aspect is that it does stimulate problems being solved, legal disputes getting resolved. That's really good news for everybody. It also generates tremendous generosity, kindness, hospitality, and growth. So all the people who have been suffering throughout the pandemic, I think you're going to see people, especially with the Moon in Aquarius, which is such a humanitarian moon, I think you're going to see a lot of outreach to people who really, really need it at the time of this new moon. We could even see maybe some things in Congress pass that help people who are really hurting right now. And we have Venus trine Uranus. This is just more change, more change, more change. And people will continue to be fascinated by the new and different. This aspect enhances social interactions, but unusual. You could find people who are very unusual coming into your orbit, where you could have a romantic alliance with somebody that you never would have had one with before. And it will last, probably for the majority of the time that Mars and Venus are conjunct, which will be up through March. So, a nice little fling. Now, the other side, the downside of this aspect with Venus and Uranus is that people tend to get a little bit selfish, and that could inhibit their humanitarian efforts. Venus and Uranus are great partners when it comes to giving and charity and helping people who need help. When the energy is not focused that way, it's selfish. It's just a little dirty. It's just not great energy that way. Then we have Mars sextile Jupiter, which, Mars and Venus are close together. So pretty much everything that's happening to one is going to happen to the other. And this is going to be very energetic. It's going to cause people to want to do fun things together. It's going to be really nice. Do something active. Again, this energy must be expended, or you will become restless and bored and possibly explosive or violent or militaristic or something like that. And then we have also Mars trine Uranus, just like Venus trined, and this will just spark interest in unusual topics. If the energy is not used in a positive way, it could lead to people feeling like they want to explode into anarchy and start big weird political movements or that. Now, it could be exercised in a more traditional way where they just do a lot of research about something rather than actual energy, but it has to be expressed. If it's not expressed and it's just tamped down, it's going to come out in a negative way. Now, this Mars trine Uranus, one thing I will say, this culminates on February 8th, and this is a good period for athletes to really be working on their performance, because it will enhance them physically and give them tremendous power and control, and yet electric style energy. Jupiter will sextile Uranus. So this is where opinions will be flying all over the place. People are very opinionated and individualistic, so they're not going to agree with each other. There may be high-minded idealism, but also reflection. People will expound upon their strength, their character, their convictions. They'll just be bombastic. They'll be up on soapboxes. And after a while, we'll all be exhausted, which was one of the other aspects that I talked about with the sun that really makes us exhausted. We're still under the Saturn-Uranus square, so we still have that ordered and conventional Saturnine character clashing with the Uranian character for the new and freedom and uniqueness. And as long as Mars stays out of the mix, no one's going to get a black eye. But unfortunately, Mars is in the mix, but in a positive aspect. So I'm not expecting big violence on the new moon, but I am expecting that there's going to be some sort of a militaristic conflict or mediation, diplomacy. We're going to come to the brink. And this new moon is going to be a timing part of it. I do think that the whole thing with the Ukraine may be focused, because you've got a lot of war indicators here, but you also have a lot of peace indicators here. You've got Jupiter and Venus making nice with a lot of these planets. So I think we're going to avoid the bloodshed, but I do think that it's going to be quite heated. So that's my prediction for that. And now I'm going to focus really on where the moon is in your chart. I'm not going to worry so much about all the other aspects, and I'm going to go through every sign. So let's start with the air signs. So the first sign I'm going to talk about is Gemini. Gemini, this new moon falls in your 9th house, so you will be focusing on studying foreign affairs, culture, outer space, maybe publishing a book, maybe publishing something or doing a YouTube channel or something on the internet, a new website, a new blog. You'll be going out to the masses, basically. And remember that Saturn's going to be here too. And so whatever you start, as long as you start it after Mercury goes direct, so in other words, after February 4th, you can devise it on the new moon. You can design it, devise it, plan it, all the way up to February 3rd, and then you can launch things February 4th and after. But this new moon indicates a seed of growth and activity that can take place in the area of foreign travels, foreign culture, the publishing industry, the internet, outer space. So look to that area of your life to get a big push of new ideas and creativity with this new moon, and then go for it, because you've got lots and lots of planetary support to make that dream come true. Now we have Libra rising, and Libra, you're going to have this new moon in Aquarius in your 5th house. So you're going to be looking for fun. However, you're going to have Saturn there, so you're going to be looking for constructive, practical fun. So this might be more in line of self-care and pampering yourself, maybe getting a new haircut, maybe looking at doing something with your children, because this is the house for children. So if your idea of fun is just visiting with the kids, then you're golden. Saturn is there, so you will make a very determined effort to make this happen. You're not going to leave it up to chance, and you're not going to leave it up to the gods to make it happen. You're actually going to plan it. And it's going to be quite rejuvenating for you, Libra. Remember, we have wonderful planetary support for all of this stuff right now. We have lots and lots of good planetary action happening on this new moon. Some of it can be a little intense, but you will make it through. And then we have Aquarius. Aquarius, this is your new moon. So this is your time to make big plans for upcoming months and to ponder your shadow side. When the new moon hits your rising sign, that's the perfect time for you to really, really work on your shadow. You've got Saturn there, and Saturn definitely wants to work on the shadow. So make sure that you take some time out to meditate, to really get in touch with your body, to listen to the messages of your body, and then to take action to overcome those shadow things or to work through those shadow things. And remember Chiron and Mars. They're going to help you with this. Chiron and Mars. Chiron's going to be down here in the 3rd house of Aries, and Mars is going to be in your 12th house. So that's excellent for you to get into your subconscious, get into your body with meditation, and find out what kind of shadow things, what kind of shadow work you need to be doing. And you've got the perfect combo here with Mars and Chiron that will allow you to do it. Now, did I say this was going to be fun and easy? No, because remember what I said about Mars and Chiron. Go back and listen to the planetary aspects if you don't remember what I said, because you're going to need to touch those squishy little dark parts of yourself, and it might be a little tender in there. So you're going to have to put on your big girl pants or your big boy pants and go in there and face it. And once you do, you will come out the other side, Aquarius, with a real awareness of how to help other people in this same situation. Now let's go on to water signs. Let's look at Cancer rising. Cancer, you've got the new moon in Aquarius in your 8th house. So this is going to involve your joint resources. So if you're going for a home improvement loan or refinancing your house or changing your 401k or looking at your will, or even if you're just delving into metaphysical topics or deep sex with your partner, the 8th house is what this new moon is focusing on, and those are all topics for the 8th house. And you've got Saturn there as well, so I'm guessing that this might have something to do with an older person. So either your partner, if your partner is older than you, or if you're much older than your partner, or it could be somebody in your family who is close to the end of their life. Maybe you're dealing with their will, but this is what's going to be focused on in the new moon on February 1st. All of these things are going to come into focus. Now, if you have to take any sort of legal action on any of the topics that I just mentioned, I would caution that Mercury is still retrograde. It does station direct on the 3rd and goes forward on the 4th. So I would wait until February 4th or after to make any new wills, new signings, sign contracts for refinancing, that kind of thing. Wait till February 4th. And then Scorpio, you have the new moon in your 4th house for home. So it's a similar message as Cancer, because the home very often is going to involve finances. Now you've got Saturn there too, so I'm going to say that some sort of changes may be taking place regarding your family, the family home, or the real estate that it's on. It could be that you're refinancing the home, or that you are taking on the home of an older relative, or that you have an older relative or other people coming into your home. It could be any of those things, Scorpio. The focus is going to be on the house you live in, the real estate it's on, and the people who live in it. That's what the 4th house is really about. It's the beginning and ending of life. I hope most of you are not at the end of your life, but if you are, God bless you. And the beginning of life is why I'm saying that with the sun and the moon there, that you may have new people coming into your family at this time. February 1st has amazing astrology surrounding it. It isn't just the sun and the moon or Saturn sitting there in your 4th house. So whatever plans that you do start to manifest, know that the astrology is very supportive right now for you doing this. And Pisces, you have the sun and the moon in your 12th house and also Saturn there. So you may really be looking at shadow work right now. You may be thinking or reaching out to relatives that are far away in foreign countries, or you may be reaching out and talking to people who are in very isolated circumstances, such as long-term hospital care, or they live in an ashram or a monastery or some kind of cloistered environment where they're not in touch with the outside world very much. You may be connecting with them a lot or just thinking about them a lot. And Saturn is there, so I'm guessing that the person that you're going to be connecting with is older. It's a great time also, Pisces, for you to be going over shadow work and looking at the things in your subconscious that are maybe things that you want to dig into and resolve in some way. There could be some traumas in the past that you want to resolve, but this is what you're going to be focusing on and wondering about during this new moon. And now we're going to go on to the fire signs. Aries, you have the new moon in your 11th house for friends, hopes, groups, and wishes. So you're going to be probably steering a new group that you're a part of. With Saturn there, that's usually a leadership planet. So you probably are a part of a group that is led by somebody who is maybe stepping down. Maybe this is an older person and they're handing the reins to you. The sun and the moon in the 11th house maybe will also express your giving, the side of you that is altruistic and humanitarian. You may have acquired wealth over your lifetime and you may be giving to certain organizations, foundations, and charities where you can help the most people by donating to them. Or you could be actually physically involved in the organization doing fundraising for them or just putting in time and helping them build their structure. With Saturn there, you would be involved with building their structure. You could be doing both. You could be doing fundraising and you could be involved with leadership in this group. Leo, you have this new moon occurring in your 7th house of Aquarius, which means that the focus is going to be on your relationships, whether they are business, family, friendship, really good, tight friendships, or actual marriage partner. So this focus means that you're going to be looking at everything about your relationship. And with Saturn there, you're going to be looking at your commitment, maybe even planning for a renewal of vows, or you may be looking at how the future is going to look as you and your partner age. You may be looking at reworking legal agreements with Saturn there. You may just be looking at, where do we want to go in 10 years? What do we want to do? What do we want to be? If you're young, you may be planning for children or no children or travel or no travel. You're just going to be doing a lot of planning and looking at the relationship, assessing it, and shoring it up if it needs shoring up, but making sure that the foundations are strong. Then we have Sagittarius, and Sagittarius, you have the new moon in your 3rd house. So you're going to be focusing on childhood learning, people in your neighborhood, your daily routine, what's going on around them. If you are a teacher, and I know a lot of Sagittarians are teachers, this is a really great time for you maybe to begin new programs where you're teaching. Maybe you're introducing new curriculum and really excited about it, and you're going to probably be known for that. That's probably going to be your legacy. The sun very often is our legacy. So having the sun and the moon there at this time means that maybe you're creating something brand new. It could also mean that you're just really focusing on what your childhood was about and how things affected you from your childhood. It could be that you're changing or cultivating the relationships with your own siblings. That's another part of the 3rd house, or just people in your neighborhood. Now we come to the earth signs. The first earth sign is Taurus. Taurus, you have the sun and the moon and Saturn in the 10th house in Aquarius on this new moon. So the focus is going to be on your career. And the thing about having Saturn there with the new moon is that that's going to bring delays. So Saturn's going to be in your 10th house, unfortunately, for quite a while. So Saturn is not leaving Aquarius anytime soon. You've probably got another maybe 18 months before it changes signs. It's going to be in Aquarius for a long time. So the thing that Saturn is good for in your career house is that it builds strong foundations and it allows you to work with older people. They can mentor you. You can learn from them. You can maybe be groomed to take over their position. Things like that can happen when Saturn is in the 10th house. Also, you have older people just keeping an eye on you and looking at your career progress. Now, with the sun and the moon together for the new moon in your 10th house, there's going to be some sort of a highlight. There's going to be a focus on you. You'll be the center of some kind of attention with an award or a job well done for a project you brought to completion or something. There's going to be some sort of accolade brought your way to give you a tiny little taste of what it will be like when Saturn moves out of that 10th house. And Saturn, like I said, it's going to be quite a while before Saturn moves out of that 10th house, but when it does, that's when the real rise in your career will occur. So be patient, Taurus. I know that you are. And realize that Saturn is doing you a favor, even though right now it may feel like he's delaying things quite a bit. Then Virgo, you have the sun and the moon for the new moon in your 6th house for work. So this is going to put a focus on work. The moon is, very transitory. It moves very quickly. So you could find people leaving the job, new people coming into the job, and you're just having to adjust all the way along. So you may find yourself training new people, introducing new people. You may even be bringing new people into your job by way of recommending them, or maybe they're a family member, or maybe they're somebody that you have known on other jobs, but you're going to be, the personnel in your job is going to be changing quite a bit. Also, the nature of your particular tasks in your job could be changing. They could be morphing into something that's more moon-like, so something that has more to do with domesticity, like the house or cooking or cleaning or women or babies and children. So you could find that your job is changing in a profound way. You also will have Saturn there, so it could be that your job is changing to focus more on older people or topics that services and products that older people need. That could be another transformation in the area of the job. And right around the time of the new moon is going to be a decided point where things do change. When you have the full moon in Aquarius next summer, you'll see the full culmination of that change. But even by next month, you'll see an obvious change in the job as the sun and the moon go around in their full moon, new moon dance around the zodiac. The Saturn portion in your 6th house could mean some delays in being able to get what you want. Delays in, say, getting that raise and promotion. There could be quite a few delays that way. And Saturn's going to be in your 6th house for quite some time. So that delay will not be short term, but it will be actually at least a year and a half out. But with the sun and the moon emphasizing your 6th house, things will sure be changing there. And Virgo, I think you're going to enjoy the changes. Although with Saturn kind of putting a damper on things, you may think right now that the changes are not that good for you, but actually in the long run, they will be very good for you. And then we have Capricorn rising. Capricorn, you have the sun and the moon in your 2nd house. And this means that there's going to be a focus on your finances and the way you earn money, your streams of income, your talents, your resources, your skills. So Capricorn, I know this is always a topic that interests you, so you always enjoy the first 2 new moons of the year, Capricorn and Aquarius. And the Aquarian new moon gives you an opportunity to think about bringing new streams of income into your life. With Saturn there could be a little delay or restriction, or it could inform the type of income stream that you're bringing in. For instance, you may bring in something that's more Saturnine in quality. It may have to do with older people. It may have to do with metal. Saturn rules lead as its metal, or it rules governmental organizations or large organizations, and it also rules just corporation organizations in general. So things having to do with construction, organization, restriction, delay. These could be the types of products or service lines that you may be introducing into your own stream of income. So Capricorn, I think that's going to be really interesting for you. And I know anything that has to do with improving your income level is always welcome. So that is all the predictions for the various rising signs, folks. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. I love doing these videos every month, and the more subscribers I have, the more I can do, because I'm getting closer and closer to that time on YouTube where I can do really big things, like have a community page that really works. All right. Thanks for everything. Please leave me comments down below. I love getting your comments. I love getting to know all of you, and I will see you next time.